need to clear something up first. A couple weeks ago, Matt said that Phil Snow beat you in a push-up contest. Is that true?
Just see film. It's a lose-lose situation for me. I mean, Snow's probably one of the strongest. We joke around with him with his age and everything like that. But I mean, he works out every day. I mean, he's a strong guy. So it was a situation right there. It was like, I'm just going to keep going until I can't in that situation. But I'll see film.
I think I asked Sam this, but is Phil old guy strong?
Phil is strong. I know. I didn't look at him while I was doing the push-ups and whatever, and I didn't know we couldn't take a break while it was going. But no, Phil could have kept going as well. I think we stopped Snow. So no, all in good fun. But yeah, Snow is he's strong. He's not just old man strong.
Wasn't Sam the one that said he wasn't sure you had been working out lately?
There's not an ounce of it. No, it's all good.
So having Christian back in this offense, what did you learn last year without him, and what's he going to bring to it coming back?
Look, it's football. You learn that, no matter who, you're going to put 11 players on the field, and you're going to have an opportunity to. That football just goes on, and you got to find out who your players are and what they do well, and try to put them in positions to have success. And obviously having a guy like Christian, he's one of the best football players in the league. He's obviously brings so much to the game that not one player can really just make up for his game. But those guys that stepped up in his place last year, it was good to see them get a lot of experience and whatnot. And I know Christian, obviously not playing in the preseason, he's ready to get back and being Christian McCaffrey again.
How much of the way that you talk about Sam taking chances, how much of those are you trying to kind of control on your own terms as a staff offensively, in terms of not giving him as much freedom to operate as far as that thing goes?
No, I mean, look, you play quarterback in this offense. I mean, you're going to take chances. I mean, and it's not just take chances. It's playing within the system. So there's times you're taking chances that's within the system. We got a matchup. You get something to your advantage. You get an alert. Let's take it. So it's not being a conservative mindset. It's just playing within the system. And I think Sam has shown through training camp and through the preseason games that he's going to continue to take what the defense gives us. And when he plays like Sam Darnold and just plays within the system, good things happen.
What does that look like? Plays like Sam Darnold. I guess you would have saw that before you.
Something about her. Sorry. No, it's when you I'm sure you guys have talked with Sam, and just Sam's extremely competitive, but he's even keel. And when he's getting in there, when his feet, when he's playing within rhythm, and he's getting the ball out on time, and he's feeling comfortable in the pocket, he can make every throw. I think when we talk with Sam, to me it's when Sam tries to do too much, and he knows that. So it's like, hey, Sam, when you're playing within the system, and you're not trying to make the extra, just an ordinary play extraordinary. Sometimes taking the check down to Christian McCaffrey is a good play, and so when he's doing that, when he's playing within the system, it's he's a good quarterback.
So how do you balance it? Some of his best highlights and some of his worst highlights are trying to make plays.
Yeah. So look, I'm not gonna coach the athlete out of him either. He's a quarterback that does a great job off schedule. So it's not one of those things where it's like, hey, don't leave the pocket. He makes great plays when, it's a big point of emphasis of our guys of, when we break the pocket, finding ways, staying friendly to the quarterback so we can continue to make plays. So we're not putting chains on him in a sense of like, don't leave the pocket or anything like that. And I don't want to take the athlete out of him. I just don't want him to feel like he has to be anything more than just being Sam Darnold, be anything more than just, taking what the defense gives him on particular plays.
Was there a chunk of your offense last year, Joe, that you just sort of shelved with Christian, a hustle on the show?
I mean, I think last year, just in and of itself, there was limitations on what you could and could not do with Christian, without Christian, just with the time on task, and not necessarily saying as an excuse, but just the reality of just the time you had to rep with each other and whatnot. And there's certain elements that Christian can obviously do that, there's not a lot of football players that can do. But the guys, like I said, with David, that the guys stepped up and were able to do that, in those various roles. And so we've, kind of taken a step back this off season and kind of figured out like, hey, who we want to be identity-wise, what we did well, what we didn't do well, and I'm excited for Sunday to be able to display that.
What is the single most important thing that he brings to Christian on the field that maybe other players can't because of their physical limitations? What is it you look at and say, he can do this a allows us to do this and other players don't.
Well, I mean, there's not many players in the NFL that on any given moment that they touch the football, there's an opportunity that they can score a touchdown. You know, Christian's a guy that you can throw it behind the line of scrimmage. Great play call. You threw it to him 2 yards behind the line of scrimmage, you know, and he can take it 80. And he's shown that throughout his career. And so, you know, that makes life easier as a play caller. But you know, he's very dynamic with the ball in his hands. He's a great runner, obviously, first and foremost. But he can make plays out of the backfield and he can protect. He's a complete running back. And so, you know, when he's out there, but just getting him the ball and good things happen. You know, he makes bad play calls look good sometimes. You know. I've seen that firsthand.
You talked about looking back at last year and what identity you want with the team. How have you seen your personal process evolve as a coordinator, and what type of changes did you make now heading into the season after reviewing that?
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with, you know, just figuring out your personnel. You're getting a little more opportunity with your personnel and finding out, you know, the various roles that the guys have. And I think in the NFL, it's very role specific in terms of certain guys, you know, make a career in this league by doing certain things. And so just getting an opportunity to really hone in on that, you know, in free agency and the draft process, and just get an opportunity in OTAs and training camp and just really see what these guys, you know, are best at. And, you know, from an offensive standpoint, we were able to get together as a staff, you know, through the off season. You know, last year we were installing as an offensive staff through Zoom and Teams, and so just getting an opportunity. We're all in the same room together, talking through ideas, talking through thoughts, you know, just cleaning things up. And so it was fortunate. We all obviously got closer from that standpoint, and you know, I've been excited. I've been happy with the way that we're all meshing together, and I think that always leads to, you know, great things on the field. And you get an opportunity to be around the guys from a relationship standpoint. That's something that you couldn't do a lot of last year. So being able to be in the locker room, in the meetings, you know, I know that doesn't necessarily think that it translates to points necessarily, but you know, the closer that you are with the quarterback, the closer that you are with some of these guys that you couldn't be with them a lot last year. You know, I feel like we're all closer from that standpoint.
Personally, have you seen any changes in maybe your coaching style from year to year?
I try to, I don't know if it's a good thing or bad thing. I try to pride myself on being the same person, being consistent. You know, I'm always going to want to work to get better, obviously. You know, I know when you can look at stats, whether they're good or bad, and you have to improve. And so personally, I've had the same approach. I don't have a bigger chip on my shoulder or anything like that. I'm approaching it this week. It's obviously the most important game of the season because it's the next one, and that's just kind of how my mindset always is.
Joe, some of the people who grade players based on tape like PFF didn't necessarily have a high opinion of some of your offseason acquisitions on the offensive line. What do you see that gives you an amount of confidence in Cam, Pat, and the rest of that line?
Well, look, I think first and foremost, obviously, I trust our coaching staff and our personnel department. This isn't something where, when we make a decision, I'm the only one that watches it, or Coach Rule's the only one that watches it or fit, and the decisions happen. And, I think from an organizational standpoint, we're all in it together. And so we're not necessarily turning on the tape, or PFF has been great for our sport and everything like that, but we're not necessarily just sitting there saying, hey, who graded out the highest, that's who we're going to target. We're looking for skill sets. We're looking for what they can bring, whether it's a mindset, it's a personality, it's a certain type of fit to our offense that maybe they were able to showcase in a previous offense, or they weren't. That's the little things that we look at. It's not necessarily
With
production.
Cam and Pat in particular, what were the things you see?
Well, I think you see a guy in Cam who has his physical traits. He's long, he's athletic, and he brings versatility. And when you see a guy that can run, you run like Cam. He has with his length to be able to get his hands on you, and he has a physical element to him. The issue with Cam is he's been unfortunate that he's had to miss some games. But when he's been on tape, we were excited and we were pleased at what he did, and we felt like he was going to be our left tackle. And then Pat, when you turn on the tape with Pat, Pat, same thing, had a couple, hiccups with injuries recently. But when you turn on Pat, he's a physical. He just kind of gets after it. He's one of those guys that he's that Ohio wrestler mindset. And so we loved that about him. We felt like that scrappiness, that mindset is something that we need to the offensive line. He's athletic and he brings versatility that can play all three positions inside. I'm sorry, I'm always bad at this. I haven't been with you guys in person in a while. I got to know who I look at.
Speaking of the offensive line, there was a shakeup at the beginning of the week with the change in John Miller's status. And Coach Rule said that the matchup he felt between offensive and defensive line would be one of the key things going into this game. Can you talk about that matchup and then also the change there at offensive line?
Yeah, I mean, anytime a guy gets injured or with what's going on, health wise, but we kind of have the same mindset now that hey, next man up. We've been saying it all through camp. We've been shuffling guys around, really trying to build depth. The versatility and the depth, like we said, I kind of said it a couple weeks ago, is the reality of it is you don't really make it through now 17 games with the starting five. You're really lucky and fortunate if that happens. So we've been preparing and building for that. And then with regards to this week, like, Coach Sala, Coach Olbrich, their defense starts up front. They rush the passer, they penetrate, they play great run defense. Everywhere that both of them have been, and so that's a huge key to victory is that line of scrimmage. And I know that that's a huge point of emphasis probably for them, and likewise for us. And so I'm sure, and I know our offense line is up for that challenge, and I'm sure that they're the same.
With all the weapons you guys have added around Sam and Christian, how realistic, even in the 17th game, is it for Christian to do 1,000 again with the way you want to spread the ball around?
Statistically, all that stuff, that's really nothing that I ever really think about. I think we just go into a game week in and week out and just figure out, what are the matchups in our favor. And but I think if you spend so much time on trying to figure out, hey, I'm going to get this guy this many touches, this guy this many touches, this guy this many yards, it never plays out that way. There's oftentimes you can think it's a great play call and I'm going to get Christian McCaffrey the ball here, and they take that away and you got to get the ball to Dan Arnold in this situation. So that's one of those things that's not really on my mindset right now. I'm just trying to find ways to get guys involved this week and come away 1-0.
And with that, is there a plan in place, or what is the plan to make sure you don't wear Christian out over 17 games?
We're taking it like we've kind of said all along. We're taking a game at a time. We'll see how the game kind of dictates itself this week. But I know all the running backs in that room are going to be ready to rock. When their number's called on.
Joe, you and Scott were at BYU together, I think, to see Zach. What were your impressions of him that day? And then, kind of as that day unfolded, did you leave there thinking that the Jets were was there a sense there that he wasn't going to fall to you guys in the draft?
I think it's just something. I think it's important that you just always get eyes on top, whether you have a quarterback or not. I think it's important to always get eyes on the quarterbacks. So, but I didn't walk away there thinking, hey, who is anybody going to take anybody? It was just like, hey, come in there with my mindset, just evaluate the quarterback and kind of go from there. And I think he's going to be a really good quarterback in this league, and obviously starting as a rookie, speaks to the volume of the type of quarterback that he is.
What was your assessment specifically?
He's going to be a really good quarterback.
What specifically have you seen from Sam, or even additionally, what's around him that gives you the confidence that he can supersede his performance from earlier in his career?
Well, I think Sam. Sam's not. I think he's one of those guys that he understands kind of what happened in the past, and he's not sitting there just thinking about it all the time. I think he has the right mindset right now and the approach. I mean, I know there isn't a harder working player in this building right now, and he's been like that since we got him in the OTAs and training camp. And so I don't know if it's anything's changed from that standpoint, but the Sam Darnold that we've had, he's been a pleasant to coach. He's been great to be around, and the guys are feeding off him. And I think he's a confident football player right now, and I'm excited for him to perform on Sunday.
Last question. What prior to getting him here and being able to meet him, gave you the comfort or that he would possibly be good in your offense?
Well, I think, and I think a lot of it, I don't think you just sit there and say, hey, in our offense, I think the offenses change year to year, and I think, and when I say that, it's not a holistic change. You're changing more on what type of personnel you're going to be. I think you're continuing to expand your game and whatnot. And so you look at a guy like Sam with the traits that he has, the way that he can throw the football and the way that he can play off schedule and make any throw on the field. And so you saw that and you said, hey, you know what, you can build an offense around this guy. You saw a guy that, regardless of the record, that was there, he was staying in the pocket, he was getting hit, he was getting back up, and he's a tough guy. And then I remember him coming out. I was evaluating him and throughout the process, but I've heard nothing but good things from a personality standpoint. So when you put that all together, you know that, hey, you get a guy that's going to come in here and you're excited to work with, and feel like he's going to perform within your system.
All right, guys.
I appreciate you guys. Thank you.
Bill's coming in.
Did that catch you off guard that day, though, when Matt says, yeah, hey, everybody?
Matt's done that to me. So, being as old as I am, I said, Matt, you got to quit doing that to me. But it's all in fun.
Matt said yesterday about how he battled some stuff last year with his injuries and whatnot. What do you think he's progressed into, and what do you see as his role?
Well, Etor, and I've said this, I mean, when you look at him, he looks like he's 18 years old, right? I mean, he looks like he's just going to continue to get bigger and stronger over the next 2 or 3 years. And he's got some really, really unique qualities because he's kind of gangly and he's tough and he can slither for a big guy, long arms. So he's gotten better every day. So, he'll set an edge for us on defense, and it's really a good complement between him and Morgan Fox playing the same position. So, he'll play a lot of football for us and get better as we go.
Where do you think his biggest improvement has come from this offseason?
I think he's stronger, and hopefully he can stay healthy. If he does, you'll see a real progress in what he does. But, he's kind of unique because he's hard to block on the edge physically. And then he also has long arms and can get off blocks and rush in the passer. So, I'm looking for him to have a good year.
Phil, your defense, I think, is pretty complex for any quarterback. What kind of advantage do you have this week against a first-year quarterback?
Obviously, if you're a rookie in this league, and at quarterback, left tackle, and corner, probably the 3 toughest positions to play. I mean, everybody knows that, right? So, he's a rookie quarterback, right? So, but he's really talented rookie. So, we're not underestimating anything he can and can't do. I think we have to do what we do real well, and then whatever happens, happens. But, it's just hard for a rookie. They're seeing a lot of looks that they don't normally see in college. And so he'll get better and better every week, and I'm sure they've really done a nice job with him over the last 6 months preparing for this game. So we're expecting him to be at his best.
And he's seeing looks presumably he didn't see in the preseason also.
Yeah, exactly. What's unique about what he's done in the preseason is he's only played about 40 snaps. So that's not a lot of snaps. So, I'll bet he's a bright kid and he learns real well. So, I think he'll be fine. He's got some veteran old linemen around him too that I think will really help him.
In what ways might we see a different Brian Burns this season? In what ways have we seen?
Well, I think as you saw last year, and hopefully you saw what I did, Brian got better and better as the year went. More comfortable. Brian's still young. He's not very old, right? And he's still maturing. And he's keeping his weight now above 250, and so he's bigger and stronger than he was a year ago. And so and that'll lend to him making some really nice plays on the edge. He has a unique ability to rush the passer, but he also can play different positions. So my deal is, it's funny. One of the guys in personnel last year said, well, you're not very smart if he's dropping. He should be rushing all the time. But Brian can also bring value to doing other things than rushing. They could set everybody to him to block him, and now he drops and it frees somebody else up. So we just got to be smart with him and use him, but make sure that, his number one deal is coming off the edge and being effective off the edge.
How much does his versatility kind of mirror what you get out of Chin in terms of being a positionless player?
Well, we're kind of unique in that we have 4 or 5 guys like that. Son Reddick is like that. Frankie Louvu is like that, right? So we have Brian Burns and like Etor. Etor can go inside. Morgan Fox can go inside. So we have some guys that can play different positions, which is fun to have. You can play different packages and do different things with that. So, we'll grow as the year goes, because a lot of those guys I just mentioned, Morgan, Hassan, and Etor, they're kind of young in the program, right? So we got to just keep developing what we're doing, along with Chen is young.
How much better do you feel about bringing pressure on the quarterback to start this season than you did going into last year, from what you learned and from what you brought in personnel-wise?
Oh, yeah, quite a bit. I feel much more comfortable about pressure. And getting a guy like J.C. Horn doesn't hurt, right? And Dante's healthy, and so I feel good about that right now. Remember last year, guys, we didn't even practice until fall camp, right? So we had no OTAs, anything. So it was kind of a unique year.
Well, there are a number of Temple and Baylor guys on this roster. What is the benefit to that as you go through this program?
I really don't look at whether a guy's from Baylor or Temple, right? But let me also say this: like the 4 years we were at Temple, there's 43 guys playing in the league from Temple. So obviously there were some good football players on the team, right? So we just happened to have a few on our team, but there's a whole bunch of them playing in the league. So I think that's where I am with it. I don't look at whether a guy's from Baylor or Temple or any of that, right? So now, do we know more about them than other people? We do. That helps. But really, we're looking for the best player for that spot on our roster, no matter where they're from.
You had talked to us at camp about the familiarity with Hassan and kind of how that helps you sort of position him.
Yep.
I would guess that's an advantage. Are there any disadvantages?
No, not really. I'm pretty personable with the players, so we sit down. I talk to all of them, right? So, and like we had a walkthrough today, and one of the vets came up and said, "Coach, I don't want to really do this." So you got to listen, right? I mean, that's part of our job. I learned a long time ago, nobody comes to watch me coach. My wife doesn't. They come to watch the players play, right? So that's the bottom line, how well they play. So, but I've got a relationship with a lot of them, so I don't think there's any negative to, Hassan.
I know for us, Frankie kind of came very much under the radar and now is very much in the forefront. At what point did you recognize that you kind of had something there with him, that it can emerge as something bigger?
Well, again, Frankie has some unique skills. Some of them, and his unique skills going forward. He's hard to block, right? So we got to utilize his talents, right? And so, some things he doesn't do as well, but there are some unique things that he can do. So we have to take advantage of that. That's our job as coaches, to utilize our roster. So, I'm glad he's on our football team.
How much more can you do defensively when you're play calling with having that many guys that can do a lot of different things?
Well, that's the hardest thing. Like we just had a walkthrough, and some things like that to cut out. So we go in with more than we should to see what sticks, and then we pare down each week. So, we'll utilize these guys this week. Now, next week it might be it might change the roles. They may do something a little bit more than they're doing this week, as far as positionally or going forward or dropping or whatever it is. But we'll do that week to week.
Will Shaq or Jermaine be wearing the headset?
Well, it's really Jermaine wears it. Yeah. And then, Shaq does too, because we're in different packages. So that's one of the things with the headsets, guys. When you go to different packages and a guy's off the field, we have to change helmets. So we're changing helmets all the time. Who has the helmet?
Wait, is it always been like that?
Yeah, well, when I first got in the league, there were only 2 helmets. Now you can have 3. So, in the old days, the helmets were in a box and locked. The official had them. So the whole thing's changed a little bit. But the helmet changes based on, the mic changes based. So certain guys on our roster have it in their helmet, or have a helmet that fits them that it's in, right? And then based on what we're going to play, we switch the helmets.
So a guy like Shaq has 2 helmets.
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying?
Who's the third one?
Well, it's another linebacker. Yeah. So that they can call the defense, to the front. So,
Can
but
you just turn them off and on? You got to switch helmets actually?
no, they have switches and stuff now. They've advanced the whole thing, right, from when I first got in the league. But
But only one person allowed to have the helmet on at a time?
yeah, yep, that's all you can have.
Bill, with AJ out, who is your, I'm assuming Hartsfield, who would be the second?
Well, we have, we've played J.C. Horn in there. We've played Burris in there. We've played Sean Chandler in there. So based on packages, a different guy could be in there.
Couple more guys.
Coach, when they got set to make the pick at number 8, there's certainly a faction of fans that wanted to see him go for a quarterback. How excited were you when they got J.C. Horn? And what is your thoughts on him growing now as a player, as you've seen him progress in OTAs and camp?
Yeah, he's exactly. I talked to him on the phone extensively before the draft. And I said, guys, if we're going to take a guy on defense, this is the guy we need. I mean, he's just mature. He's been, he's been brought up in football. It makes sense to him. He's tough, and he's really big, guys, for a corner. Have you stood next to him? I mean, he's really a big corner, right? And those guys don't come around very often. So I was really excited when we got him. It changes the dynamics of who we are and what we can do. So, you can't have enough corners in this league.
Do you know his dad at all?
What's that?
Do you know his dad?
I don't. I don't know his dad. I know he's real close to his dad. I'm hoping to get involved, meet him more as the season goes.
The Panthers have a young team, but a young defense, especially. But last season they seemed to get progressively better as the season went along. Where do you see them at now, and how excited are you to see that product on the field on Sunday?
Well, I don't look at any of the young guys anymore as young. To me, Chin and Brown and Burns, all these guys, right? They're veterans now to me. So I expect them to play well. I think we have to take off, and I'm expecting us to play well on defense. We have pieces to play well, and that's our job. We got to get them to play at the. We've got some good players on defense. We got to play that way.
Thanks, guys.
Phil, they might not pay you to watch you coach, but I think they pay you to watch you do push-ups.